We're gonna get the recording starting, and then yeah, we'll get this thing going. So, welcome everyone. My name is Jared Frost. So, I'm the founder of Blue Pebble Group. We are one of the first vertically integrated small independents in the state of Colorado. What that means is we do mortgage and real estate and property management. We spread it out. We get basically share overhead, and as a result, can make things a lot cheaper for our clients. My background, just by way for those of you who don't know me, I had a bit of a circuitous route into real estate. So my background actually is aerospace engineering. I have a bachelor's in aerospace from the University of Michigan. Spent a couple summers actually coding flight simulators for drones. So not the stuff that they're playing with over in Iran right now, but first gen kind of UAVs and things like that. I was actually coding flight simulators for those back in 04 and 05. Spent after I left engineering, I spent about 10 years or 7 years on Wall Street. I traded, for those of you who don't know, structured exotics and structured derivatives for Credit Suisse. May she rest in peace. That was my job from 2007 to 14. So I was there, Wall Street trading floor, when Lehman went bust, when Bear went down, the whole thing, actually coding financial derivatives at the time. So my life has been coding until I got into real estate about 12 years ago. Made the transition to real estate from a more of an investment angle, but still kind of obviously have my technical background. And so with the new wave of AI, I've really kind of gotten head into this, and our brokerage kind of relies on me to be the one leading the charge on the AI side. So something I'm happy to do. And the point of the class today is really just to kind of show you just some really basic things. If you want to do some advanced things, we're happy to bring you back. We do this training once a month. We also do a lot of AI in another coaching program that we're offering where you wouldn't even need to join Blue Pebble. So if that's something that's interesting to you guys at the end, happy to chat about it. But really today, we're just going to focus on some real basics. Okay. So if Jen might be a little bored here because Jen's been dealing with me now for months. But if you're uncomfortable with AI, unfamiliar with AI, you don't really know how it works, maybe you're one of those people who also just kind of felt like it's a letdown. I hear that a lot. Like, hey, it's supposed to be really helpful and really cool and do really great stuff, but like every time I ask it to do something, it's an idiot. Like, okay, I hear you. Yes, like for sure. And if you're one of those people, that's what today is going to be about. Today is meant to be interactive. I love getting interrupted, asking questions, having engagement. If it's just me talking at you guys for an hour, we're all going to be really bored at the end. So please ask your questions. Please share your experiences. Like, this is about kind of sharing knowledge, making sure that we're taking this opportunity together to just learn and grow. Cool. Sweet. All right. So let's just before I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you guys everything that I'm doing. Once we kind of get this thing officially started, I just want to take a quick step back and just kind of frame AI for you guys really quick. Not like the crazy theory about temperatures and how these models are being trained and all that kind of, we're not going to talk about the super technical stuff. What we're going to talk about though is just the very basics that you need to know as you're kind of sitting down interacting with AI. And so the first thing that I would say is, and my rule to anyone who's not comfortable with AI or anyone who's never used it at a high level, I speak to AI probably 6 hours a day. And that's been for the last year and a half, 2 years. So like, I probably talk to AI more than my girlfriend at this point. And as a result, you kind of learn some things. And one of the main things that I just impress upon people is that you have to treat any AI you're dealing with as a 6-year-old savant. Remember those movies? I might be dating myself at this point, but I feel like there was a movie. There are all these movies from like the 80s and 90s, right? With these kids who had these like special powers, or maybe like The Matrix, I think it was another one where they had the kids who were like bending the spoon and things like that. They're savants. They have like these crazy, crazy abilities, right? But since they're so young, there's no context, right? So imagine if you had a 6-year-old that you were working with and managing, and this 6-year-old could literally had access to any information ever created in the world. It just has no idea why you would ever want it because it doesn't know what you do. And it's never lived life. And it's not going to be able to think one step ahead of you very quickly. So one thing that AI does not do very well is it does not anticipate. Okay. It takes the data that it's given and tries to give you the most efficient answer. It will not automatically be able to, analyze what you give it, think about everything that is going on in your head in terms of context and motivation and all that kind of stuff, and then be able to interpret from your words what all that context and motivation is to then determine the real reason for why you're going to be doing something. So whenever you're dealing with AI, just remember, like, talk to it like you would a 6-year-old, because the more we treat it like a 6-year-old instead of like a college professor, actually the better input or the better output you're going to get. Okay. The second thing is, without getting into super theory about this, we really do need to understand how LLMs at a very basic level create the output that they do. Okay. And there's a new kind of wave of AI technology that they're experimenting with is just slightly different, but at least the very basic LLM technology right now, like LLMs, like ChatGPT, LLM stands for large language model. That's ChatGPT, that's Claude, that's Grok, that's XAI. I mean, that's all the basic kind of chat functions that people are using these days. These are, from a mathematical perspective, these are what are called effectively regression models. So do you guys remember how maybe back in stats class, I'm not trying to like create any crazy bring up any PTSD from some math classes back in high school or college, but remember how there was that thing in stats where you used to plot all these kind of random points on a graph and you would have it like create a line through it, and it would be like that line would never go through all of the individual points, but be the best fit, right? We're trying to get the line of best fit from all these different data points. If you're familiar with that concept, that's effectively what these AI models are doing, right? They take all the words that you're giving it, and these are individual data points that it's then effectively creating in its mind, right? And it takes all these individual data points and then tries to predict, based on all these data points, what the next best word is in the sequence. Okay. So part of the reason why you see these things kind of create messages is that they're kind of thinking as they're typing, right? So you might give it all this data. All it's trying to do is like figure out, based on its training, what the next best word in that sequence is going to be. And so if you remember back to these stats classes, if you had data within your data sets, like let's say your X range was 0 to 10 or something, and then you gave it another input of like 5, you could typically get like really good input or really good output, because you're asking for it to find a number within a range that you already trained it. Right. But whenever you're giving AI a new response, it's trying to create something new. You haven't trained it yet. And so one thing to bear in mind is that the longer and longer it goes with less and less information, the more bad it might get. So going back to our kind of 6-year-old Savant analogy, we want to be checking in with our 6-year-old all the time. So don't just have it go and do crazy stuff without you checking it. We want to be breaking up our problems into smaller problems, and then basically directing the AI each step of the way, and that's going to yield better results. For example, in real estate, I know the end goal for everyone is to create a 30 email follow-up sequence for all of our internet buyers that come into our lead funnels, right? I mean, follow-up sequences for me before AI were the most annoying thing ever to think about, because you had to create 5 emails and not come off salesy and blah, blah, blah. You had to create value and all these, and before AI, it was really hard to create these sequences. Now it's a lot easier if you know what you're doing, because you can just have AI spit out 15 emails for you in a row, copy, paste, put it in your CRM, and you're done, right? The problem is, what are those 15 emails going to say? And if you just tell it, hey, I'm generating leads online and I need a 15 email sequence, it will do it for you. And I'm telling you that email sequence is going to be really bad. Whereas if you say, okay, cool, let's start with step 1. I'm a real estate agent. I'm generating leads for buyers. What do those buyers want to hear about? Get the output. Okay, now let's talk about the output. Now that we know what we want to hear, how would we create an email sequence to follow up? Then we do that. And then we go into the drafting, right? So we're breaking down these problems into smaller sections. So that way we can just make sure that we're always managing our 6-year-old appropriately. Is that cool? Are we good with that? Just curious. We are now 10 minutes in. Have we picked up? Is this the kind of stuff that we want to be talking about today? Is this helpful?
Yes.
Great. Then we're going to keep going. And now we're actually going to get into typing, playing with AI, doing the whole thing. So let me share my screen. And we're just going to dive into some very specific examples that you guys can do kind of at the same time, because I'm just going to be sharing my screen. I'm not going to tell you what AI to use. That is a very personal choice. From personal experience, I was a full-on ChatGPT guy for about a year. And then about a year ago, I converted over to Claude. And since then, I've been a full Anthropic kind of guy. So for those of you who don't even know what model to use yet, my first suggestion would be to reach out and use Claude. You can see it on my screen. It's Claude.ai. ChatGPT is going to be a little bit different. XAI is a little bit different. All these models are just slightly different. So you will get different output, a different experience based on what platform you're on. And that's okay. All of our prompts that we use in our training, all the prompts that we're going to give you, all the handouts, they are platform independent, right? So you can use them on Claude, you can use them on X, you can use them on Chat, totally fine. I just personally think Claude is a better experience these days. And actually, if you look at user data that ChatGPT actually just put out right after their capital raise, their user base is down about 30% in the last year. So it does show you something about kind of how ChatGPT might not be the leader in the space anymore. So if you've been a ChatGPT person your entire career, the last 2 years, I would just encourage you to check out Claude. If you've never checked out if you've never used other platforms, check them out. It really comes down to kind of what you want to do. So let's now go into some initial practice. Okay. And we're just going to do something very simple here, just to kind of prove a couple points. And that's writing a follow-up email for an open house. We're sitting in an open house. We've got people coming in, they're signing in, right? And we want to create a very easy email that we can copy paste and follow up with these people when we get home so that we don't need to think about it and all that kind of stuff. Does that sound like a good use case for us to test out right now? Okay. So we're just going to show a bad way to prompt AI for this email. And we're going to go through step by step kind of how we can improve our prompting to make sure that we get better output. Okay. So someone who I would say is operating at a relatively lower level would do something like this, right? Please. Oh boy. If my computer's on a lag, we're in real trouble. All right. Please create a follow-up email for an open house. That's what we wanted to do, right? We wanted to create a follow-up email. Boom. Now, I think automatically we already know the problem with this prompt, right? Does it know who I am? Does it know if I'm a real estate broker? No. There could be a lot of what open house, don't other professions hold open houses besides real estate? Right? So like, if I don't give it any context, and I'm sorry, my computer's on a real lag today. If I don't give it any context, it won't know what's going on. And holy crap, come on, please, what's going on here? It won't actually know what's going on. So like, if the AI is concerned, now it knows I'm a real estate broker because I've been talking to it for 2 years. Now, if it didn't know I was a real estate broker, it might think I'm an insurance person. It might think I'm a car dealer. Like if you just say open house, it's not going to know. And unfortunately, my internet is so bad in my office right now, I can't even show you what this prompting is going to output, which is kind of crazy at some point. But now it's thinking, give me 1 second. I'm just going to turn off my video for a second. Maybe this is influencing me a little. Here we go. It was just my video feed. I apologize, guys, but I might just be off videos for a second while we get this AI kind of figuring it out. So here's a nice thing about Claude that's actually changed, I would say, in the last 2 months, really, is that they've made it also a lot better. And another reason why I like Claude versus ChatGPT is they've actually made it a lot better where they prevent you from sending bad prompts. So you can see how I did not give it a very good prompt. And as a result, now it's asking me for follow-up, right? And oh boy, weekly limit. I'm very active, and if you guys haven't heard it, Claude bots and Molt bots and this whole AI agent thing. In fact, we have 2 AI agents that we're training at Blue Pebble, one for prospecting, one for our document compliance, and they use a lot of tokens. So that's why I've already hit 75% of my weekly limit on Claude. Anyway, but Claude will ask you, follow-up questions, right? So if you give it a bad prompt, it will then create this little thing at the bottom that asks you kind of what's going on. So who's this email going to? We're going to go with buyers who attended my open house. What's the goal of our follow-up? Let's see. I don't know, Juju, what do you think? When you send an email for an open house, are you trying to drive offers? Are you trying to get them to schedule more showing? Or just trying to like stay top of mind? What's your motivation here when you're doing this?
Well, my way is just saying hi and just build relationships. So never ask for anything.
Great. So let's build a relationship. Probably want to be warm and personal tone, right? If we're just trying to stay top of mind and be friendly. So let's go with that. And now the nice thing about Claude now is, and it's actually ruining this class for me, is that I can't prompt it poorly. If it feels like it needs information, it will ask you to follow up, right? But now imagine how much easier this would have been if we would have given this information on the front end. It might have just been able to give us the output initially without having to go through this whole thing, right? So let's go through this initial output and just kind of see what people are saying about this, right? So hi, first name. I'm going to pick on Noah because Noah is my crash dummy in all my classes. He's on my team. He gets my training all the time. So just so you guys all know, I pick on Noah constantly. So this is not any different than what it normally is. But hey, Noah, really glad you made it out to an address on day. It was great to meet you. I know they can feel overwhelmed, so I reached out personally and see if you had any questions. Now you had time to sit with it. Sometimes the details that matter most don't surface until you're back home. Whether you like, love it, wasn't great fit. Genuinely love to hear your thoughts. So let me ask you guys a question as a group. How do we feel about this follow-up email? Noah, how do you feel about the email you would get? If I sent you this email, how would you feel about it?
I don't think I would click out of it, so I like it, honestly. It's it doesn't give the person like a yes or no answer segue. It can lead to more of a maybe more of a feedback answer.
Love that. And Juju, you had feedback too, it sounded like?
I think if I'm the buyer who came to the open house, I might not answer anything.
You think it's a little too generic then?
It's just general, and I don't know. I might not just even reply if I'm busy.
Okay, cool. So this is a great opportunity for us to thank you for giving it that, because this is exactly what we're going to talk about, right? So one of the nice things, and now my video is on this crazy lag. One of the nice things about the AI, and specifically using AI to draft these rough drafts, is that it's actually very easy for us to make edits around tone, around length, around details, and it will automatically do it as well. We can also ask AI to give us multiple options at a time, right? So like, okay, maybe we didn't like the tone, Juju, of this first one. Maybe we felt it was a little too generic. It's got a couple M dashes in here, so maybe it just looks like AI drafted it, right? I mean, whenever you see these dashes, it's kind of an automatic tell for you that it was AI driven, which I know a lot of people are very attentive to these days, and so they might just assume there was AI and then therefore not respond to it. So let's give it some feedback. So okay, tell you what, we've got 211, just to pick one of our listings right now. So the address for the home was 211 Magnolia Street in Denver, and the open house was yesterday. Let's give it some feedback. This initial email is a good start and too general. The dashes make it seem like it was AI drafted, and we'd like to be more focused on seeking feedback from the buyer about their experience and price, so that we can start a conversation. Please draft 2 options. Okay, sorry. Look, I'm going to be very quick, right? We're just going to do that. So we gave it some additional information. So that the address, the stuff that was missing, the address and the day, we gave it in this prompt right here, right? We also gave it Juju's feedback, because it's a good start, but like it's too general. It feels a little too AI-y, and we're going to lean on Noah's feedback, which what he really liked, which is the email was seeking to start a conversation. we're not trying to directly prospect and sell these people, which I think is a great, something that I would suggest and teach to Noah. So I'm glad Noah picked up on that. So we're just going to give it this feedback and kind of see now what the next response is, right? It's going to hopefully give us a more conversational tone. I like this. Isn't the subject probably a lot better too? Let's go back up because I didn't pay attention to the last subject. So glad you stopped by, right? Versus a more specific thing, like your thoughts on, like, I think this is a real email now, right? This is a real email subject, I would say, right? More specific. There's a real ask here. I think if someone saw this pop up, they would know what you're reaching out for, right? Your feedback. So let's go through this one. So, hey, Noah, thanks again for coming out to 211 Magnolia yesterday. It was great to meet you. Wanted to check in, get your honest take. What did you think of the home? And now that you've had night to think about it, how did it feel? No wrong answers here. Your feedback, feedback helps you out a lot. If there's a gap, that's a conversation. I mean, how do we feel about this? Before we ask for general feedback on this email, do we think this email is a better email than our first one? Juju nods,
Yes.
Wes nods, Noah says yes. Greg, are you on the same? Are you in agreement as well? Yeah, Greg says yes. Jen says, okay, great. So it seems unanimous. Sorry, I need more coffee. It's 11:30 and I still need more coffee. But it is a unanimous vote that this email was better, right? So what was the difference between this email and our first email? Really, at the end of the day, it was just this little bit of feedback, right? Hey, here's some exact information for you. Here's some very specific stuff about how you drafted the email that doesn't work for me. And a goal of the email, which is to start a conversation and get feedback, not to prospect, not to try and do whatever. So we gave it much more specific things, right? And therefore, as a result, we got a better email. But let's just say hypothetically that this wasn't the email we want to write. We still want to see other options. Is that Noah? No, watch your mic really quick. Just heads up, you might be scratching stuff. So here's what we're going to do, right? We're going to give it one more prompt here, which is, this is better. Oh man, I really got to turn off my monitor. All right, this is better. Let's now see two different options. One that pushes a little harder on setting a meeting, chat about feedback. All right. So this is also an AI voice. So we're just going to now ask it for multiple versions, right? So we've given it the feedback that the second draft is better than the first. And now what I'm going to ask it to do is now write two more options for this follow-up email. One, basically pushing a little bit harder. So let's say, Juju, that instead of just doing this kind of like check in for feedback, we really did want to try and schedule an appointment or lead gen or use this email as a lead gen opportunity. We can ask it to do that. And as you can see, it did, right? So I'd love to get your honest feedback. Really useful, 15-minute calls, save you a lot of time. You're open for a quick chat, right? Not saying this is the way I would approach it, but if someone wanted to, push for a meeting or try to convert via an email like this, it can take your feedback and draft you an email that can push. On the other hand, my AI knows me really well, and it knows that I'm very short, succinct whenever I write these types of emails. And so it basically came up with something that was more written in my voice now based on everything it knows about me. One of the really cool things about AI these days, especially if you turn on memory, and so that's something you can do in all your settings with any of your accounts. You will typically need to create an account. So like log in through your Gmail, or just create, some sort of account. You might have to pay for it. But if you turn on memory, one of the really cool things is that the AI will actually remember, how you write, how you respond, your personality type. It will get all this information and store it. The memories aren't as clear as you would think. A lot of these memories are kind of like summarized learning experiences. But, over time, if you turn on these memories, you can train your AI to kind of talk and write like you. Don't tell my team but we write a monthly market report that I used to spend 8 to 12 hours personally writing. Now I spend less than an hour because it's the data research. It already has, probably about a dozen writing examples for me. I tell it what I want each paragraph to say, and it will then write the report based on my words, my writing samples, the data I give it, the thesis. It's like an hour process. So it took what used to be an 8 to 12 hour research and research report down to an hour because it's trained on how I write, which is pretty cool. So here we go. I think this is I think we've beaten a dead horse. We've beaten a dead horse with this open house description, I would say, but at least it shows you initially kind of the stages that we're going to want to go through whenever we use AI to help us out with our business. And that is, let's be very specific on the front end, right? We want to give it context. Who are we? What are we trying to do? What are the really important pieces of information? And then from there, we just give it feedback until it gets into shape that we want it, right? I would think about this. Think about this as being a sculptor. I think if we take the approach of being sculptors, whenever we're interacting with AI, it makes the process a lot better, right? In that you're going to have this giant blob that doesn't really know what it's doing yet, but you can take this giant block of whatever and turn it into whatever you want, right? There are going to be some really big chisels that you got to take out, right? Like there are going to be some giant corners, and if you're trying to get into like a human shape and you've got this block of granite, right? You're going to take off like huge pieces of granite, and then you're going to use these like finer chisels, right? And then you're going to use sandpaper maybe to smooth everything down, right? But every step of the process, you go from bigger chunks down to smaller chunks until you get the finest things. And that's how I would then think about AI, right? If we take care of the big things on the front end, the product we get will be directionally the right way. Now, it won't be 100% right, just as if you ever go see the Michelangelo or the David, right? It didn't take Michelangelo years. It wasn't like he just went through and chopped off all the giant corners and all of a sudden was left with this pristine sculpture, right? He had to keep working on it. And AI is very similar. If we take care of the big things, then we get smaller and smaller and smaller. By the end of it, we're going to have this really nice, polished, smooth thing. The other nice thing, just really quick, we'll do the next step. It'll show you kind of what else you can do. But any questions so far about prompting, context, process, how we can kind of play with different versions, different tones, different writing styles? Doing okay? All right, sweet. Well, here's what we're going to do for the rest of the class. And it's probably only going to be about 15 minutes. We'll also save the other 15 minutes. This is your time. Happy to be here for an hour, but we also want to answer your questions, or if there are specific examples you guys want to talk about. I think that'd be more valuable than just having me talk at you for another half an hour. So we're just going to spend the next 10 or 15 minutes kind of talking through some specific examples around how AI can really help your real estate business. And then we'll open this up for questions. Okay. So I guess here are some big questions. Like if you don't mind me asking, maybe let's go through the room really quick, and then we can talk about kind of what else we can do. But Wes, what are you using any AI for right now in your real estate business?
Nothing.
Nada. Zero. Are you anti, or are you just not quite sure how to use it?
That's why I'm at 101.
Love it. Are we anti, or are we not sure?
Definitely not anti, but not necessarily pro either.
Okay.
No,
Wes,
just learning, man. Just trying to learn as much as I can and figure out where it fits.
Okay, great. Well, hopefully in the next 15 minutes, you have some ideas for how we can save you a boatload of time.
What I just learned was unbelievable. I will say the calculator we did the other day, that was out of this world phenomenal. So, seeing some good use cases, it's just implementing my own in my own business.
Greg, Juju, Jace, that's your sell to come on back. We created an investment underwriting tool, actually a web application, in about an hour that everyone put. You by the end of our hour class, you had a live web application.
My brain is still leaking out of my ears from that whole thing.
So that's the next one. This is 101. That's more of a 301, 201 level kind of thing. But that's kind of the stuff that we talk about. Juju, are you using AI in your business right now, or are there things that you're specifically leveraging it for?
I did, and I do using it a lot for life. Like, hey, I'm fighting with my boys, and I said this to my 15 years old, why is he mad? So I only start with Gemini because it's free, right?
Sure.
I think it start off like, hey, can you read this lab result for my husband? And then it translate like, oh, that's cancer stage 0. I was like, oh shoot, but seriously, they know what I don't, right? Because we are not going to see a doctor yet, and then it's Christmas, and I send it, and he tell me all the stuff, and Ray's like, thanks, Gemini. So I start asking him like, oh, what should be for dinner today, right? But I did like in January, I feel like really hopeful and say, hey, I want to start advertise myself. Like, and by the way, I'm not going to use it for open house because I hate open house, so I don't go to open house. But I say, I want to start advertise myself on Facebook. Give me, here's where I live, Highlands Ranch. Give me some idea. And it give me all the stuff like, okay, break it down in like 5 short video, like, and then I copy and paste. But that's it, Jared. And that's when I stopped. I didn't even do anything because what fear me is just, I got like, oh my God, this is a good idea. Let's translate it into Thai language because I speak Thai and I want to advertise to Thai people. So they did a wonderful job. Even just like free Gemini version, I didn't pay for it, and I never hit the maximum of my questions. So I keep asking every day. I would tell Wes to start asking what for dinner today. They're pretty smart. And then it stopped. I didn't copy and paste it on Facebook. That's my struggling with using AI in my business. I think I wish I know to copy it, and what next? Do I go to Canva? Do I do something else? If I want to do an email, what do I do? MailChimp? And I stop right there, Jared. So if your next class is about, how to move on to, I think it's easy for me to paste onto my Facebook page. It's just the fear stop me, like what people are gonna think. But then I also want to know how to use different tools because Gemini cannot create everything for me. They suck at graphic, so I still have to incorporate with many tools. But thank you.
For sure. And, I think that's one thing that, Juju, we'll have a lot to talk about. So if you need marketing help and you want to take AI into Canva, other stuff, email, CRMs, by the way, Juju, you're going to get a phone call in the next couple of days. We're happy to talk about that with you. Okay. And we do training on that all the time. Happy to help. But I think the main point here is that, there are things that we can do. And by the way, I do this with recipes all the time. So like if I'm hungry and I've got my little bachelor fridge, because my girlfriend makes fun of me all the time for it. I'm like, well, shoot, I got some ground beef, some rice, and some of these spices. It'll come up with a recipe. You can give it all the stuff and it'll give you something to eat, which is great. And I would just argue that there are a lot of things that we can do that maybe we're not, in our real estate business and things that just take time that a lot of people are not thinking about that would save them a lot of time. And so I'm just going to go through a couple of these use cases. So that way, as we're kind of pressing ourselves, like what else could we use AI for? What else could we, how else could we facilitate a more efficient business? These are just some of the things that that we would advocate that you do. And let's just go through a few of them. So one of the first things, easiest things is was a listing description. So personally, I don't know if I could ever write one of these things. I always even had other people write my listing descriptions because I was so bad at writing listing descriptions, right? So here's something we're going to do. And I'm just also going to show you another tip and trick, because let's say you don't know all the information that AI would need to draft a good listing description. Let's say you want to draft one for your home, but like you don't know what you want a listing description, but you don't know what else to say. You can tell AI that. So you can say, hey, look, I want to write a listing description for my listing at 211 Magnolia. I'm a bit lost on what the most important things are to highlight and could use your help with an optimized listing description that would encourage buyers to reach out. Oh, can't type. What info do you need to help me write this? So one of the nice things about AI is that if you are confused or you don't know what to do, you can ask it and it will tell you, this is what I need, right? For those of you who are internal part of our coaching program, you don't need to be at Blue Pebble for that. But if you are part of our coaching program, and especially internal agents at Blue Pebble, we actually have AI written into our internal software, and we have a whole prompt directory that you can click on. So if you ever don't know how to prompt it, you can just click on a directory and it'll just ask you questions and then it'll automatically output a listing description for you. So you never really have to go through that. But if we don't have access to that tool, here's something that we can do. And this is how we can basically, let's just go through it, right? So let's say, okay, it's a 3-2 with 2 full baths. It's located in Crestmore neighborhood, which is super exclusive. The yard is on a 9,000 square foot lot, which is big for Denver. Let's see. The kitchen was renovated. I don't know if it actually was, by the way. I'm just saying. So if you guys are interested in this listing, I'm not misadvertising to you. I don't know if the kitchen was renovated. I'm just using it for AI. This is just yeah. So if you walk into 211 Magnolia, it's not an updated kitchen. Don't yell at me. But the kitchen was renovated in the last 3 years. There's a really great 3-car garage, and it's walkable to Crestmore Pool and Tennis Club, which is also super exclusive. And let's just kind of see what the AI says. We're kind of going through it. Whoa. Once again, it'll ask you. Square footage, list price. It's listed at $975 and has 2,100 above, 900 below. Sure. This is like, I'm just still floored by some of the questions it asks. This is a newer feature in Claude, but it really does help. And it's another reason why I've kind of gone to it, is it just makes adding some additional information pretty great. So let's see what Claude came up with here. Crestmore is one of Denver's most coveted pockets, and this is one of its best addresses. Set on a rare 9,000 square foot lot, offers the kind of space and privacy those kind of off in its neighborhood. Blah blah blah. Can't talk anymore. Hardwood floors run throughout. The kitchen was thoughtfully updated. The 3-car garage alone will stop buyers in their tracks. At this point in Denver, that's a genuine rarity. Step outside or a short walk from Crestmore Pool and Tennis. I don't even think that's the real name of it, but that's okay. And that's from, how do we feel about this listing description? Any thoughts? Good start. Noah says good. Greg's nodding. Wes says fine. Okay. Is this now, could we make it better? Yeah. I'm not trying to argue. I will be the first one to tell you that those people who are really good at writing and are just really good at the written word, they're gonna, if you wanted to take the time to create that, I think you could definitely create better, more bespoke output if you as a human took significant amounts of time and actually wrote up a really nice listing description. Personally, it's been a while since I took the SAT, and so some of these bigger words around like coveted are not like front of mind for me. And so it would just be really hard for me as an engineer nerd to come up with words like this and write like this, right? So for someone like me who otherwise wouldn't be able to create this kind of thing, and if it did, it would take me hours. In literally 2 minutes, we just solved the listing description for you, right? And it's probably better than like 95% of listing descriptions out there if you actually look at the MLS. Okay. Now, the one thing I would say personally for me is like, you see that dash? See how there's that M dash right there? For me, that would just be my first edit would be like eliminate the M dash, make it 2 sentences. You could even do that yourself if you wanted to, because that is like one of those things that kind of says it's AI. But this alone, I would argue, is better than 90% of listing descriptions out there. And it took us 15 seconds. Right. Pretty cool here. Here's another thing that I also really like about that I think is an underutilized aspect of AI. And that is going to be the personality / objection handling prep. Okay. So let's say that, how often have we ever had these situations where, we're going to walk into, let's say, a listing or buyer presentation, any sort of client presentation. Maybe it was someone we met at like out in the wild. Maybe it was just a lead that we got. Maybe it was a referral from someone that we don't know all that well. It's not one of our people, right? Like we don't know them so well, but like they're a lead. We're going to talk to them. That's what we do as real estate agents, right? We're trying to get prepped for this. One thing that AI can do is help you try to diagnose the personality types of these leads that you're meeting with, and therefore give you better strategy on how to have conversations in order to increase your lead conversion. Oh, hold on a second. So let's just go through this process really quick. So, okay, great. I got a lead from this open house, and his name is Noah Werner. I'm meeting with Noah later this afternoon, and I'd really like your help figuring out a plan, strategy for the conversation based on his personality type. Can you ask me a few questions to help me help you identify his personality type? And based on that, you can come up with a specific or strategy to convert Noah to be a client. Woo! Going to Juju's point about fights with people, maybe wondering what does this actually mean, or what are these Gen Zs and Gen Alphas laughing about with this whole 6-7 thing? I have no idea. I don't know, like whatever. Like AI can tell you the whole thing, right? So let's stop laughing at me, Noah. I'm too old. I acknowledge I don't even know what I'm talking about. Okay. So, okay, great. AI here. Love this approach. Tailoring yourself. By the way, be mindful that AI is going to be a sycophant. Sycophant, I think is what it's called. It will hype you up all the time. Very rarely will AI tell you that you're wrong. There's an incredible South Park episode about that. If you're a South Park fan, I would just highly suggest you check it out. But be mindful, right? Like just because AI says, I love this approach, it will very rarely tell you that you're wrong. In fact, it will never tell you that you're wrong. It doesn't do that. So just, you can really hype yourself up by like reading your AI and seeing how awesome you are, but bear in mind, like it's designed to do that. Okay. So, if you want AI to be critical of you, you actually need to ask it to be critical. You have to say, like, do not just agree with me. In fact, I need you to tell me why this won't work. Okay, cool. I'll tell you why this won't work. And they'll give you like all the reasons, right? But just because it tells you I love you or it's great or you're awesome, that is its default response. You need to dig further if you really are looking for critical feedback. Here, I'm not looking for that critical feedback. I already know what we want to do. But just as a heads up, if you are asking to have a critical conversation, its default is not to be. So how did Noah come across the open house? Man, he was one of those guys. He asked everything. It was like age of the water heater, age of the AC, like what's the material of the roof? Like, when was this last painted? Are these all GFCIs in the kitchen? Like Noah wanted to know he was that guy, right? And he was that guy who was all about price and comps because he knew all the houses. He is. Juju, I'm telling you, he is. So, he knew all the comps, he knew all the things, he knew exactly what our house didn't have, what his house had, blah, blah, blah. He knew the whole thing, right? How did he communicate? Did he reach out to you? Reach out to him. I followed up and he responded very quickly. It's almost as if Noah is like living on his phone and just kind of waiting for all the stuff to come through. Now let's see kind of what AI says. Oh, classic analytical buyer. Oh boy, we got one of those engineers, those creepy, crazy engineers. You gotta watch out for those guys. So Noah is a classic analytical buyer. So let's talk about it. Logic and automation. He wants to feel like he made a smart. Thanks, Jace. Appreciate it. He wants to feel like a smart, well-informed decision, not to close. So here's how we run the conversation. Let him talk first. Before anything, I'm curious, like what's driving your search right now? What have you seen, right? This is true of analytics because I'm an ISTJ. So if you guys ever meet an ISTJ in the wild, this is all very true. We love to tell you everything that we know about data and all this stuff, as you can already tell based on this presentation. So, let these people talk first, right? Also, these analytical buyers, we're going to want to come with data. And I do think this seems so simple, right? But I do think a lot of agents and a lot of salespeople, not just real estate agents, but salespeople, we don't put ourselves in our client or prospect's personality enough, right? Like we're thinking about how would we want this to go versus thinking about what does this person want it to go, right? So if you're non-analytic, you might come with like interior designs and like flyers and like pretty cool stuff. And that might be the opposite of what this person wants because they want comps and numbers and spreadsheets. And maybe if we're not using AI to like diagnose or if we don't know, this is a really easy example, but like, we can get more in depth, more detailed. You can kind of tell it more, but like in some of those in betweens where we're really not sure if this person's analytic or creative or this or that, maybe AI can help us figure that out. Right. And I think too, this whole like don't invest in small talk, right? Depending on kind of who you are, if you're an E versus an I, you might be small talking all the time. I's hate that. And so, I think this is really good stuff. So let's ask what AI is talking. Do you want to talk about the framework? No, I think that's okay. But like right now, even without going any further, if we just took 30 seconds, I think a lot of people could be benefited with their lead conversion if they just ask AI about personality types. Now, if we wanted to jump in even further and go more in depth and be like, okay, cool. I know he's an analytic, but like, let's really get into their Briggs-Myers. So like, okay, Claude, ask me the questions you would need to know to really help me identify their Myers-Briggs personality, right? Because aren't there 16 of those? There could be like 5 analytics, but there could be subtypes, right? And so one of those nice things too is that you can get AI to go basically as detailed as possible, which is sweet. Some other things that AI is already doing, we're actually training an AI agent on compliance right now. One of the most annoying things as a managing broker is doing compliance. And one of the most annoying things for my agents is compliance because they have to wait a day or two for me to get back to them. How great would it be if you train an AI agent to just accept any document and then automatically output whether or not it would pass compliance? Like we're doing that right now. You got to build that, but that's AI possible, right? So one of the things I'm just going to press upon you guys is like the sky's the limit as we kind of open this up for questions is whatever you want it to do, it will do. You can create it. You can create workflows and processes, from very simple building blocks that can create complicated behavior, which is pretty cool. And I'll send you guys all that the prompt book after this, so that you'll have some example prompts that you can also use, in your business on any AI LLM platform that you are currently using. So, but thank you guys. What question? I mean, we got 9 minutes left. So questions about, AI, how to prompt it, what are we using it for? What, anything else? Like, this time is yours. Anything? Stunned into silence, or any ideas?
I talk too much, I think. So Greg and Jennifer might want to talk.
Greg, I'm just curious. Has this class maybe given you an idea for how you might use AI in your business in a new way going forward?
Maybe a couple things. I've been using it more for already for like writing emails, listing descriptions, comparing different options or scenarios, stuff like that. So, grabbed a couple different things to add in, especially like personality type stuff. But yeah, I've been using it for writing a lot of stuff because I don't write well.
Great. And I'm curious, Greg, if you don't mind me asking, are you having a draft emails as part of like an automated follow-up sequence, or are these kind of more bespoke one-off things that you're doing right now?
A lot of times it's replies. So I'll copy the email, put it into AI and say, this is what I want to reply, and just have it write it better. Or I'll put in a reply and have it analyze it. And like, if I want it to sound more professional or more polished, or, like come off a different way, and, just kind of use it to proofread.
Great. One of the really cool things that people are starting to play with a lot right now, especially in CRMs like Go High Level, if you guys use that or are familiar with it, is you can now incorporate AI calls into your automated follow-ups and workflows. So like hypothetically, let's say you got a buyer and you never want to draft an email sequence ever again, right? Like, I don't want to think about anything. There are ways to incorporate AI calls, programmatically into a workflow. So like once someone gets to an email spot in your follow-up sequence, instead of having to have that email pre-drafted, you just send all the information that AI would need to write the email to the AI, and it can basically customize your email workflows and follow-ups, like per person, per follow-up sequence, whole thing. It's absolutely crazy. So if you are comfortable using AI for emails, one of the things I would encourage you to do is, if you are thinking about automated follow-up and automated type lead gen and all those things, putting AI into that workflow can save you a lot of time in terms of personalizing individual follow-ups to some of these leads as well. So just something else to put on your radar. Sweet. Wes is shaking his head at me. Dude, you want to know what's crazy? I had Finch.
I'm just blown away. I genuinely am.
I had Finch, who's one of our AI bots, go out and scrape the internet for 600 real estate agents a day in Texas, Florida, and New Mexico. Add them to Go High Level. Finch is automatically integrated into Go High Level, so has access to a Gmail account, texting, emailing, email templates, whatever. You can tell it like, hey, go create a list of 200 agents, name, email, phone number, contact information, input them into Go High Level, create an ABCD email template, and then programmatically send that out every 5 seconds so you don't run up against Go High Level API limits, and basically create your own email lists, create the email templates that go out to them, and then automatically email it. Imagine what that would have otherwise cost you to get prior to these AI agents and stuff like that. And you can do this now in 30 seconds. It takes 75% of your weekly token limit, as you can tell based on my AI, but like you can do it. I just had our other AI agent scrape 108 multifamily brokers in Colorado because we're starting to look for multifamily investments. So now instead of me having to do all this research, I now have 108 multifamily brokers that I now need to email, and I probably won't even email them. I'm going to have one of our AI agents do it for me.
And one of them, the multifamily.
Great, Juju. I knew we had stuff to talk about. So we're gonna talk after.
Jared, if you start doing that, and then a lot of people come back to me, then that's my most fear too. Like, oh my God, I can only handle one client at a time. And that's probably stopped me from advertise myself because I put family first. So that's why I'm not very active in as a real estate agent, but more like a multifamily property management owner.
The better part is you connect your AI agents to your inbox and you have them pull up your, respond to all these emails and also schedule calendar invites for you. I mean, that's also possible. Now, you hear these horror stories about the Facebook people who their AI agents leave their entire inbox. Did you guys hear about that one a month ago when Claude first came out? When these AI agents first came out, the head of like Meta AI safety had their entire inbox deleted by this automated agent that misinterpreted a command. So giving these bots at like full access to Gmail inboxes, et cetera, is, you know, tough sometimes, but, you know, to connect one of these things to your inbox and then also to your calendar, and then watch for emails, watch for stuff, respond, you know, that technology is already existing today. So, you know, I hear you. Like, maybe emailing 108 brokers, trying to schedule appointments and phone calls. If 50 of them get back to you, how are you going to do all that at one time? Totally hear you. Maybe that's where an automated agent might help out if you didn't want to like connect to Calendly and just tell a broker like, hey, connect to Calendly. Like, because I hate that, right? Oh, I want to talk to you. Click below and schedule a Calendly. Like, I feel like that's such bad customer service, you know? So like, instead incorporating an AI agent where it's like, hey, I want to talk to you. Let me know when you're free. Well, great, Jared. I'm free 3 to 4. And then your AI agent steps in, gets the email. Oh, yeah, Jared's free 3 to 4. And then automatically sends out the calendar invite. Like, you could already do that. Crazy. And by the way, like, this is all in the last 3 months, you know, and imagine where this was, you know, if we're talking about, you know, this is my, I'll just sign off on this, right? 2 summers ago, 2024, right after ChatGPT kind of like, I feel like that was right when ChatGPT was early 24 was when it really kind of started hitting, right? So been about 2 years of AI world right now, right? Summer of 2024, it was really cool that AI could create for me Python scripts, right? So coding scripts, like very basic scripts. If you're not a programmer, like just really simple stuff. Okay, help me do this. And it could do this, and then you could run it, do the whole thing. A year later, a new technology called Replit comes out, where instead of writing a script, Noah is now a big fan of this system. You can write whole programs with like user interfaces and databases and web links and like middle code and back. Like, you can write full stack. It's called Replit, R-E-P-L-I-T. Juju, I'm warning you. I'm warning you. It's addictive. You just get addicted to it. But like, you can write full stack software, right? And now, even a year later, we're talking about AI agents that can manage full stack software development for you. So now you don't even need to talk to Replit. You could have your own Claude bot work through an API connection to your own GitHub or your own Replit and manage this development process for you with a bunch of sub agents. Like, holy crap. And this is now 2 years later. So imagine where this is going to be in a year. Right. And by the way, I think the good thing about it for us as real estate agents is like, this is exactly why people need us, because it's going to be our relationships with people that are going to be the most valuable thing going forward. Right. If you look at the wheel around where AI is going to disrupt professions, sales is probably only about 50%. Whereas like management consulting, finance, accounting, like any professional services, they're basically saying it's gonna be like 90-95% coverage, right? But if you look at sales, even Anthropic says they're probably only gonna be able to disrupt 50% of sales processes, because so much of sales is empathy and emotional connection that you're not ever gonna be able to generate with AI. Right? So as real estate brokers, if we think about how to use AI to automate everything else so that we can focus on that human connection, that's 100% what we need to be and how we're going to kind of moat our business over the next, say, 10 or 20 years. So thank you all. It's noon. It's actually 12:01, so I'm going to let you go. Really appreciate your time. For those of you who are new, we'd love to have you back. Thank you so much, all. Feel free to email me with any questions. Over the next 24 hours, I will send out that prompt book for you. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.